Alright, welcome to another Creative Arena tutorial. We are going to figure out how to take some of our bowl objects and turn it into a spinner. So I want to add some spikes for pure damage purposes. My customer that did this design was just kind of messing around with some ideas, and he ended up liking how the spiral works because the RC cars do a perfect 360. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to add 6 spikes to it and then figure out a way to add maximum damage while also still protecting the balloons. So we may use a plate, because then I can always include the clips on the outside, and do a second bowl with our plastic bowl, because remember that the plastic bowl is responsible for holding the bouncy balls. So with this design in mind, let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to start. I've got these skewers. They have a little bit of a flat plate at the end, which makes it way easier to hot glue. Alright, and I kind of like, we found the last time, to keep the spikes at an angle. Gives it a little bit more damage. Now, at our last event, it ended up becoming kind of cool because without any real theme initiated, everybody was working to build the tallest Creatobot. And so it was neat. We came up with some cool designs, but when we got into battle, it was not the best display because a lot of them toppled real quick. So I think our next go around, we'll see what we can change. Now, as I lay the skewers, you can see that I'm having to go on top. Now this will create some imbalance, so I do want to try to figure out the smoothest way. I'm going to need another skewer to complete the rotation. So that should give me some level as I prepare to put on the top hat. Let's make sure we got a good 360. So I'll fill in some of the gaps with glue. I want to try to make it as solid as possible. Now, while at Creative Arena, you will see that I will do a lot of hot gluing for you. We are also working on some ways to get the hot glue gun into the customer's hands, as long as we can keep them safe. Alright, so now, like I said, having that in play, I could add more if I wanted to. It really just depends on what the strategy becomes, because you don't want it to be too much, you don't want it to be too heavy. So I'm going to just stick with what we've got on here. I'm going to do the plate because then I can put my balloons on top, and that's just going to provide extra protection for the balloons in the long run of it. So I'm going to put some glue, especially on top here, and then as everything settles, I may find that I need some additional glue when I flip it over. Now, the thing that we did like was adding that second layer of the bowl, because again, we want to try to keep the bouncy balls inside as much as possible. So hot glue works best when you do it in dots. So I got that dotted up, we got that centered, and then I'm going to add in my plastic bowl on the inside. Now sometimes if I can get a good solid layer, I will go for that. Got to be careful not to melt the products. Alright, and so now we've got a pretty solid piece that I can then attach to the shell. Because remember, the plastic bowl does not have to be glued directly to the shell. It can be glued anywhere. So I can add it going vertical. I can add it going horizontal. I have a lot of options in how I want to get this set up. And as you can see, it fits nice and snugly on top. So I'm going to glue it there. I'm going to check down here, make sure that I got a good solid fit. And just to reinforce it, you guessed it, more hot glue. One thing we learned at our last event, if we don't reinforce, it's more than likely the first thing to go. All right. So then I'm gonna put this here. See where my lines lay out. And add it to the shell. Now, with that in store, it allows me to add my 4 clips where my balloons would go. So I can put my balloons at the highest level. I can put them down here. And I think I'm gonna actually, I could even go 2 down, 2 up. So when we're doing our cradle bots, you have to have 4 clips to hold on to the 4 balloons. And that's for official tournaments. So I'm going to add my 4 clips up here, because that will allow me to keep my balloon safe, and then I can add more weapons or accessories down on the shell. And so with that in store, it allows me to set up for whatever other accessories I want to add. So follow us, subscribe, and check out further videos as we learn how to build more accessories for our Create-A-Bots.